Good morning, traders. Today is the 7th of August. This is Brad Matheny. This is the Plan Your Trade video. As I discussed with you, the VIX is still up in the above 20 range. So even though these cycle patterns may have, at this point, really only maybe a 20 or 30, maybe 40% chance of actually accurately predicting the market trends. We are still going to discuss what's going on with the market. These are all the lines that I've been drawing, and I've highlighted the fact that we needed to get back above this 525, 526, 527 area on the SPY to try to find support. We did briefly yesterday before moving into late day selling, which was kind of cool to watch with this top resistance pattern setting up. Beautiful, really nice setup here with this top resistance and market rolling downward. I'll show you that on a 30-minute or a 10-minute here in a minute. But today we have this flat down in trending mode, and tomorrow we have this Harami inside day in carryover mode. Both of these indicate consolidation. The flat down and the Harami inside day indicate downward trending and consolidation. So if we come over here and we take a look at what's going on with the markets, we're going to open here at looks like 527 or a little better, and we'll see where we're at. We still got an hour to go. But in reality, folks, we're going to be looking at more than likely, and I'm going to come down here to my 30-minute and shrink this down a little bit. More than likely, we are going to be looking at a couple of days of sideways trading. So I want you to be aware that we still have to get up. I'm going to get rid of some of these and leave the yellow areas, because the most important thing to remember right now is the fact that there's the top formation. So you can see right there, there's that beautiful topping pattern, top resistance, rallied right back up, filled the gap, and then rolled down into the end of the day. That's the topping pattern. That is a classic top resistance pattern. That is exactly what this type of pattern really indicates, is a rally up to a peak, a stalling at that peak, and then a roll over into downward trending. So now we have the flat down and in trending mode, and then the Harami inside day in carryover trend. So what that would look like to me on this 30-minute chart, what I would expect to see happen, depending on where we open, get rid of that, come back over here, grab my brush, and depending on where we open, so let's assume we open right in this area, what I would expect to see with a flat down was maybe a little bit of a pop, and then kind of a waffling back down into the end of the day. Just basically that. Not much, maybe a bit steeper of a downward move back into this support area here, but just a moderate waffling down, potentially setting up a range. Now, the next Harami pattern and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the 8th because that would be tomorrow, can set up some fairly big ranges. So we could have a move kind of like this, but still ending up right about where we started. Or it could be the opposite direction, down and then up and then down into where we started. That's what a Harami pattern would indicate, it meaning that we would see an open and a close very tight within the previous open to close range. So again, this could be a rolling up, rolling down, and coming back up near the end, generally downward trending today. The Harami pattern could see a lot of extra volatility. And what I would suspect here is that even though you can see and maybe I ought to do this because there's something I want to point out that may be important. So we are potentially setting up a sideways flagging mode like this, and potentially off of this channel here, across this channel, So this would be our sideways flag, and we are nearing by middle of tomorrow an apex, which could be um, increasing volatility. So a flat down pattern may indicate an entry up in this area, maybe a little bit of upward movement, and then really just rolling generally downward, possibly down into this area, setting up support. Now, the next day, we could open a bit higher into this area, maybe a little bit higher, and then we would see maybe some big volatility around this apex and settling right into the apex area. The apex area for this flag is generally right here. That's a decent range. So you can see here, that's kind of like the middle apex area of this potential flag that is setting up. And we are likely going to be moving into volatility through this cycle before we move into the next big move. And now let's take a look here. We get the inside breakaway in trending mode. Then we move into the momentum rally, gap up lower, which indicates a gap higher at the open, then trending downward on Sunday. We'll see how that plays out. Remember, Sunday patterns are more about psychology than actual price data. Then we get a gap breakaway in trending mode, a breakaway in trend mode, a rally in carryover mode, a carryover in counter trend mode, and an inside breakaway in trending mode. And I am viewing that data as relatively strong. So I think we're going to continue to move, get rid of that, come back here. I think we're going to move through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday into more of a moderate rally up into this area, and then eventually try to move even higher back into my vortex rally phase. So be aware that the next couple of days are likely going to be fairly tight. Today and tomorrow, today should be mostly to the downside. I don't expect it to get much below 520 or 521 down into this area. The next day, which would be Thursday, we could see a bit of broad volatility. I mean, in reality, we could see it move up, we could see it move down, we could see it move in a broad channel as we hit this apex. And we could see a really wild kind of a price action. It's just going to end fairly flat, maybe up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. Obviously, we are still flagging into this zone, this 524, 525 area, 526 area. That's really the apex zone right here. So we need to finish this flag and then move into trending, and we will likely then move up into this area and then set up some new flag here that will eventually move us into a breakaway. And that's because really the general rule of price is that it is either trending or flagging. So at this point, we are flagging. What we have to do is we have to let the markets flag. There is still opportunity in flagging, but not quite as much as when it's trending. Okay, so we are flagging. We will continue to flag until we hit this apex. Then we will trend a bit. It looks like the trending is going to be to the upside around the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Then we will likely move into around the 11th, 12th, some additional flagging. We could blow right through this level, but I'm expecting flagging at this level. Filling this gap over here is going to be enough to, in my opinion, set up a bit of a pause before we rally a bit higher. Okay, so understand that I'm giving you my best advice. Remember, with volatility up above 18, the SPY cycle patterns are still relevant, but you must understand where we're at with price. So obviously, getting down below this level on strong selling pressure, this would be the 520 level. I would be looking for further downward trending. Getting up above this 531 area, I would be looking for stronger bullish trending. So, really, these are my areas where I would be saying, look, we're breaking away from this mode. So 520 over here, this would be my bearish area. And this is where I would say, hey, all bets are off. We're crashing again. And we need to be aware of that area as a big breakdown. We stay within this area, we continue to flag, and then we will eventually break out, move up into this area, and then we end up in the same type of scenario. We get the same bearish range setting up here, and then we get the same bullish area setting up at 543, 544. And what we would see here, that's again the upper area of this next gap. And that's going to be important for us to determine how price attempts to rally. So you've got a breakaway phase here and a breakaway phase here. You've also got a bullish breakaway phase here, a bearish breakaway phase here. These are, and this becomes the trending zone from this apex area here, roughly here up to here. There's your next big move. 3% to the upside, 15 points, likely going to start by late Thursday, early Friday, making a fairly good sized move to the upside, particularly as this vortex rally, get rid of that, particularly as this vortex rally sets up. So remember, I am expecting a deep V bottom with a solid vortex rally setting up. And you can see I've drawn all over this thing. I kind of laugh at my drawings because I'm trying to give you guys the best advice I can. Okay. And really, price constructs, Fibonacci price theory, and the other techniques that I use show me so much on the chart that I could go on for 3 hours and talk to you about all this stuff. But the reality is I want you guys to understand where we're at with this move and where we're going to continue to play out. The vortex rally that I've highlighted are these blue lines right here, these blue arcing lines. So you can see here how the vortex rally is really just off of this deep V low. We need to build some base, build some momentum. And I think right around this area, like I've highlighted, just before the election, about 30 days before the election, we're going to see a very solid basing, bottoming that's going to lead to a pretty solid move to the upside on expectations and continue to rally. But really, these areas, I'm going to leave these here because these are my next target areas. In fact, maybe I'll draw these a little differently and bring this into play here. These are my next target areas for the upside move, what I call the vortex rally. And that gives you an idea of what I think is going to be the next big upside trend. I think it's going to move into these areas here very aggressively, and that's going to put us from where we're at right now, give you an idea of how big this is. That is a 13, almost 14 to 20% rally into early 2025 or very late 2024. Could be a very explosive move here. Okay, let's take a look at the QQQs real quick. Again, setting up a very deep V. Love the way this is setting up on this deep V rally. Let me get rid of a couple of lines. And here we are looking at this deep V rally setup. Get rid of some of these other, well, I'll get those later. So where we're at with this, again, the vortex rally is still in place. And these were my vortex rally phase lines, but we need to see this roll back downward. And where we're at with this day, we should set up the same type of a pattern in the sense that we should set up a fairly broad sideways rotation for the next couple of days. So what I will do is spread this out, drag this over, come into the 30-minute, And where we're going to be with this over the next 2 days, remember, we have that sideways flagging. So I can clearly see some resistance across here that tags across here. And I can clearly try to draw a flag across this rejection. Very clear here. It's too low though. So I'm going to move it up into that area. There's our flagging. And this flag here in the Qs actually sets up later today. It apexes later today, which means the volatility, if I'm drawing this correctly, today's volatility, we're going to open up in this 446.39 area. So we're going to see some maybe upward trending and then rolling downward today. Okay. And then tomorrow we get the apex, which will be some fairly big volatility, I would expect, indicating a Harami pattern where we get a very tight open and close range. Then, because we're just past this apex, we may see a pretty good breakaway move the following day, Friday, and that could move us because we've already closed this gap. It's already been closed. So now we're trying to close this gap. If my analysis is correct, we're going to be moving higher, try to close this gap, and then we're going to push higher back again up into 460, 470, and eventually even higher. Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at a really good opportunity here as the markets settle. We're looking at an attempt here from way back up here. We're looking at an attempt very easily to move back into this 480 area, trying to reconfirm support through this gap, which is still staying open. This gap here has stayed active and open. And this would be the next big target area before we get up into this gap, which I've highlighted, but I will draw it again in yellow. And this gap here is the next big gap, and that's 490 on the Qs. So get ready. Looks like we're going to see a pretty solid move. Now, you can see over here on the right side, Japanese yen, the Nikkei index up quite a bit, almost 6%. German index up 1%. Everything looks fairly flat today, particularly Bitcoin up 1,000, up almost 2%. We're no longer seeing those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% moves in Bitcoin. The dollar is down to 102. Probably going to strengthen back up to 103 and a half, maybe 104 over time. Understand that this is a big shakeout, a big deep low, very solid support coming back down. You can see how we've just rejected again this area here back into very solid support. This is going to play out, in my opinion, as a moderate, strong base, which will eventually move into a very broad vortex rally and up. I think that 2025 is really going to be key as we get out here to the election. I think the new policies, new promises, new spending that's likely going to be pushed through the next couple of years, could be very positive for the markets, especially as I've explained the U.S. economy, 900-pound gorilla. Really, I think this big vortex rally is about decoupling of currencies and decoupling of foreign economies against the U.S. dollar and the U.S. economy. For gold, let's take a look at gold real quick. Get rid of that. Very interesting to see how gold has flattened out over the last couple of days. You can see here that gold is moving downward just like I predicted. Spread this out a little bit. It looked really too good to be true, in my opinion. Try to drag this down. Oh, still in draw mode. Okay, there we go. We can drag this down, spread this out. And when we got up into this upper flagging formation, remember this purple line and this purple line are my flagging levels. So right there, let's come down here and grab it. There we go. And let me get rid of some of these drawings again. So I'll see if I can grab that one, get rid of it, get rid of that one. Sorry, I got the sniffles this morning. And okay, so that's pretty good. Okay. And I'll get rid of some of these other lines. Some of these are kind of important, but I can always redraw them. That one I'll leave. That one I'll leave. These are just measures of legging patterns. And here's this rotation that we called right back into this sideways support. We ended up getting deeper. Still highlighting this is support. You can see I highlighted it way back here. And this deep support, which could, again, if we got a big breakdown, this deep support at 2366 could become very important. Same with this deep support here. So I'll leave these for now. Get rid of that. It's a long time ago. And where we're at right now, folks, is we're basing and we're bottoming. Now, do I think we're ready for a rally? Uh, I think the rally is going to come next week. So, yeah, I mean, if I were to tell you what I think is going to happen over the next day or two, here's what I think is going to happen. Spread this apart, and we'll come over here down to a 30-minute and try to pay attention to this with gold, because the next big opportunity in gold is setting up right now. And what we're seeing in gold is the opportunity to really catch the next big trend, which is a fairly solid move up to this area, this 2460, all the way up to the 2550 area. So as we take a look at this data, and we try to, as I try to get this chart prepared for drawing, what we're looking at is a move here. Okay, so as the markets settle, as the SPY and the QQQ move through the flags, gold is going to attempt to recover, very likely attempt to recover back into this 2460, 2480, 2470 area right in here, which will be right below this resistance channel here, and it's going to give us a very clean opportunity to load up before we get into an even bigger breakaway phase. Now, the bigger breakaway phase is the next big move for gold, moving up above the 2550 area. And that's going to be the secondary channel, which will likely take place sometime into the 13th, 12th, or 13th area, moving up into the 2550 area. Won't be that as aggressive because I'm trying to draw it all on a 30-minute chart here. But we really have this mode here where we're going to see a pretty good rally from here, probably up to 2480, 2490, and then begin to flag sideways in this area, and then move into a big breakout phase up above this recent high, which in my guess is going to put us at 2550, 2560. So, yes, you have an opportunity right now to look for gold to move from current price levels up here, which is 43 bucks. You got a $43 chance. Call it $29, $30 to $40 upward move before August 8th through maybe the 10th or 12th, 9th. So let's call it through the 8th or 9th. And then you have a second potential move from, and I got to be careful of the time, up here. And that would be a $75 move. Nice big move. And that sets up probably around the 12th or the 13th, and probably carries out into this area, 14th, 15th. These moves will be fairly aggressive, but I think these moves are coming. So that really puts us into an area where you have a pretty good set of opportunities here. Spread this out. We'll drag this over. Spread it out. Didn't mean to make this 25 minutes, but don't want to waste too much time. Well, anyway, before I get this chart set up here, There we go. So these are your moves. A nice little reversion move back up to the recent highs, then a pause with a flag, then a move up to 25.50 in gold. Okay, that's it for now. I've already run 25 minutes, a little longer than I expected. I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to leave this on the SPY chart, and good luck today. Remember, flat down day. Stay cautious today. I don't think we're going to see much activity, maybe a pretty good sized move starting in gold and silver, though. All right, guys. Bye.